Hi, well, you know me, I'm Alice Chaston, and I guess I'm an actor and I'm studying my Masters of Film Producing at VCA, which you already know, so it's strange for me to tell you that.
And hello, I'm your good friend Vanessa Gazy. I am, as you know, a writer and director in the film industry, and good to be chatting with you today, friend.
So we've known each other for like 13,
Longer than that.
longer than that, since we were 13.
Since we're 13.
And actually, I think it was like back then that we were really like, that's how we sort of bonded over drama. Was that when we started to bond?
I think so.
And telling stories and creativity.
Yeah, exactly. I think we were kind of, I remember when I first saw you in year 7 and I was like, I want to be friends with her. But it wasn't until later on in high school when we worked together in drama that we actually figured out how we were going to be friends, I think. And that was when I was a writer, writing a play for school, for our school play, and you were cast as the lead actress.
Yeah, well, I always wanted to work with you because, you know, you wrote the best stories. So.
And I always wanted to work with you because you were the best actor.
So
friendship bloom.
Friendship. Okay, so what made you want to, like, because I think I remember for a long time you writing stories like when you were a little girl, like 4 or something. What made you want to be a writer? What drew you to writing?
It was just, this is going to sound naff, but I think it was just something that was kind of always in me. I can credit my mum, I think, very much for always telling me stories from a very young age and just, you know, provoking my love of reading and stories from a very early age. And you know, I was reading Enid Blyton books as a child and everything. But yeah, I was also, I had this...
Fanny, yeah.
But I just had this compulsion to tell my own stories from as long as I can remember. And I would always journal and I would write these little stories on this, I remember this sort of like yellow tissue-y paper that I used to just scribble on. And I loved it. It was the way I'd play in a way.
Yeah.
And when we got to high school, this was before we consolidated our friendship, but my other group of friends, I used to write this story in an exercise book. And it became a serial, and I'd write sort of a chapter every night and bring it to school and they'd all read it. And it was a story about us, but when we were older and cool and we were adults and we lived in Sydney and we had partners and we lived in a terrace house. And it was this kind of child's fantasy of this bigger life that was awaiting us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cute.
And what about you? What brought you to acting? What attracted you to acting?
So I think I remember when I was in grade 5 and we did this play and I got to play Prince Charming, and it was this like role reversal, like all the boys had to play girl roles and then like all the girls had to play boy roles. And I was like, I don't know, I think that I was completely drawn to this idea of changing gender. And like, I think that was like the first time I started maybe thinking about gender and what that meant to me. And then after that, like when we went, we were in high school, I was always really fascinated by the Shakespearean roles of the men and mistaken identity and I don't know, maybe that question of like what is gender and gender fluidity, and I think that that's something that for me I don't know, maybe because like I have like 6 older brothers and I grew up in this very boysy house, I always wanted to explore that, like idea of like women exploring masculinity and men exploring femininity. I
So
think
it's like an opportunity for you to be transformative and to transform yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that just felt so liberating to be able to, you know, like dress up in boys' clothing.
Yeah.
Something like, and so maybe that was like a way, way of me expressing
freedom.
Yeah.
From a very young age.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And what now? What do you? What's happened between
now and then? So between now and then, I went on a very different path. Following high school, I went to Australian National University and got a degree in corporate finance and investment management, and worked for a few government agencies for a few years. And that was it wasn't very creative, and I didn't get to dress up as a boy at all. So after a while of doing that, I felt like I needed to do something, get back to the sort of more creative time. That's the thing.
Back to the creative time.
Back to the creative time, you know, like the creation story. I don't know, back to story. And so I went to an acting school. I went to 16th Street here in Melbourne, and I made it like a bunch of great connections and friends. And I guess in the last few years I've been working as an actor, and that's just been so, I guess this is really liberating for me to be able to do that, even though there's like a million struggles along the way.
Yeah. But
I
think it's because you've landed where you should be, and it's that feeling of rightness.
Yeah.
Because I knew you when you were really young, and even at that age, you were trying to express yourself that way, and you were excelling, and then you kind of, took that other path, which was also good and everything. And I think probably, everything kind of happens in the right way in the end. When you look back on it, it's like you did that for a time, and that's informed who you are now.
Yeah.
So it's not like that was a mistake, I don't think. But, it's great to see that you're now doing what's so natural to you and what you love, and doing it so well. And
Yeah, I guess. But like I find you very fascinating because you've always wanted to be a writer, and so you followed that throughout your whole life. And so you went to university. What did you study?
I did a Bachelor of Arts in Media and Communications at Sydney Uni. Because, I thought, well, I always knew that writing was my skill, and writing was the thing I could do, and was always the thing through school that had sort of carried me through.
Yes.
But
Vanessa got ducks at our school.
Thanks, Alice. What was I saying?
Sorry.
Is that right?
Writing carried you through.
Yeah. Writing was always the thing that carried me through. So I thought, well, how can one make a career out of writing? And I thought, well, journalists are writers. Journalists are people that seem to, be able to live and write at the same time. And I just thought that was the natural, logical path. So I applied for this degree at Sydney Uni, and I'm really glad I did that degree. It was a great degree. But the media component was probably my least favourite part. It was really the arts component of the degree that I loved. It was the English literature and the philosophy and the history and the cultural and gender studies and all of that stuff that when you're that age and you've left your, we grew up in Canberra. It's not exactly a small town, but like leaving Canberra to come to Sydney, being an adult, being independent, and having your mind just filled with philosophy and thought and these new ways of thinking and the ways of thinking critically, and all of a sudden you're you're so challenged and you're so just full of this new sort of sense of who you are and who we all are, and how meaning is structured, and you know, all of that kind of incredible stuff that you learn in an arts degree. And by the way, I think arts degrees, anyone who says an arts degree is a waste of time.
Exactly.
No. So good for the mind and so good for the soul.
Yeah.
And yeah, meanwhile I was doing the journalism side of things, and it was great, but I think something in me just knew I wanted to do something creative, and it wasn't going to necessarily find its outlet that way. And you know, I wasn't stalling in the journalism aspect, but I found myself, rather than going and doing, because we had compulsory internships, rather than going and doing those internships at, you know, print media as I thought I would, I found myself seeking out the screen internships. Yeah. And ended up at like Channel 9's Getaway. And it was almost like I was drawn to the screen but didn't quite know how to. Because the thing is, when you're that age and you've never seen examples of people doing a thing that you dream of, like, for example, being a director, a film director. Yeah. You know, I had no role models really that I could see in front of me. And I didn't know how to get there. It felt almost as unachievable, this sort of idea that I could one day be a writer-director. Yeah. As saying, I want to become a NASA astronaut or something. It was like this impossible. Absolutely. Yeah, so I didn't even consider that. I didn't consider going to film school. So it was funny. It was, kind of stumbled into it in my own way, but it was almost as if I'd suddenly decided, something had clarified in my mind that that's where I should be heading, and I just took a series of strange steps, including leaving Sydney, doing a ski season in Canada, sort of like rolling into France and ending up in Paris, and sort of
going to Cannes,
meeting people, and kind of ending up in this little like production company in Paris. That's where I almost stumbled into exactly where I wanted to be, but so it wasn't.
Sort of manifested. Yeah. You put it out to the universe. Okay, this is where I want to be, and then somehow you manifested all of, getting into that production company.
Yeah, somehow. And then as soon as I was there, it felt right, and again, things just seemed to manifest. It was like, this person approached me and she said, oh, I've been watching you, and I know you want to write and direct. Well, my partner and I want to produce, and how about we put some money into your first short film? And I was living in this amazing apartment in Paris through some family connections. It was in the Palais Royal in Paris, funnily enough. Of course, which is another one of those weird things that happens to you when you're young and you're like poor, but you're open. So I was living in this beautiful place. So you came and visited me in the old Palais Royal, and so we thought, well, what better place to shoot my first short film than here? So that's when I was on set for the first time, and I just remember feeling this enormous sense of rightness, this enormous sense of,
this is where I've landed.
Yeah. This is it. Yeah. That feeling of rightness was just a triumph. Yeah, totally. Because it was like, okay, now I know. And it's hard when you leave university. I remember the feeling of being lost. Yeah. When I'd left university and suddenly I realized I hadn't built anything properly, and I didn't even know if I wanted to be a journalist. And then finding that thing finally felt beautiful. It was like, this is now where I'm going. Yeah. Yeah.
So now you're here in Melbourne, you live in Sydney, but you're here for MIF, Melbourne International Film Festival, because you have a short film, Shiloh, in MIF. Talk us through how you got to here from that time when was that in Paris? That was like
2011.
2011, so we're 2018. So, my finance brain can do the maths. Yeah. In 7 years, you've done quite a lot. So, tell me about that journey in the last 7 years since you had that. Okay, I've landed in where I want to be, what I want to do. What are the other things you've manifested along the way?
Good question. Well, so from Paris, I kind of realized that as much as I'd loved this experience of directing my first short film, there was still a lot I didn't know. And, you know, you kind of, in film, it's not something you can just kind of fudge. It's like...
It's blaringly obvious like when something's a bit like,
there is
cringe.
So I thought, okay, I should learn more about this industry. So I went to London and I started producing as a way to sort of learn from the outside in a way, watch closely as other directors directed. And I really learned a lot. I learned what good directing is, I learned what bad directing is, and I learned about each department in you know, on a film set, and I was communicating directly with all of those different heads of departments. So yeah, I began to learn. But then I kind of almost went down that path a little bit too deeply, and I kind of needed a shake-up, which happened in the form of Burning Man Festival, where...
Why not?
Yes, where strange and wonderful things happen.
An awakening.
An awakening, it was an awakening.
What was it? Yeah, like that you wanted to be a director, or...
Yeah, it was almost like this moment in the desert of, okay, it's time now to do my thing and tell my stories and focus on that.
Yeah.
A lot of other things kind of consolidated in that moment as well and in that experience. But basically, numerous crazy things happened, but I never went back to London. I mean, I've been back since, but I've never quite made it back to London. Went to LA. Through some people I'd met there, produced a short film that went on to get into Sundance Film Festival.
Yeah.
And eventually went back to Australia because I realized, okay, it's time to focus on who I am and telling my stories. So I thought, well, I should probably formally educate myself, and so I applied to do a master's at the Australian Film, Television, Radio School, and you helped me. You helped me in several ways. The first way you helped me was when I spoke to you about it. I was a bit sort of like, should I go to film school? And you said,
yes. You should go to afters.
Yes.
And if you got an interview at afters, you should take it seriously.
Yes, because it's quite it's an amazing course and it's an amazing opportunity.
Very prestigious school, I guess.
It's a great program.
A great school.
Yeah. So you also helped me in another way. You were in my very first, it was actually you were in my second short film.
Was it your second short film?
Well, there was the one in Paris.
Oh, right.
And then there was the little one I did to get into film school.
And that was with me.
And you were my lead actor. And you did so well. And we got me into afters. Yay! Yay!
So good.
Yeah. So I did that. And that was a great year. I was really lucky. I was mentored by some of the most incredible females in the industry.
Kate Shortland.
Kate Shortland was my supervisor, who's an incredible director and such a mentor and role model.
Amazing.
Yeah, and we had Shirley Barrett, who's another Australian director.
Yeah.
We had Jess Hobbs, who is incredible. Yeah. She's been off in the UK directing big shows like she's been off in the UK
directing big
directing
shows.
Broadchurch and other big shows.
Right.
And Samantha Lang, who's another.
Yeah.
She went to Cannes with her film.
Yeah.
So I was surrounded by these incredible mentors. And we had Jane Campion come in and speak to us when I was there. And during that year, I really was given the opportunity to work on myself as a writer and director, and went through intensive story work and was really taught about how, as a writer, you tap into what you really want to say and your deeply held beliefs, and find your stories and find your voice. And it was really all about that.
Yeah.
And so I made a short film called Foal at the end of that. And that film did really well, and it kind of pushed me to the next step.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was nominated for an ADG award and an Australian Writers Guild award, and so I kind of, that was enough encouragement for me to go, okay, keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. You know, you've got a lot to learn, and it's not a perfect film by any means, but you should keep going. You should keep going. So then I made another short film, and I had the support of Screen Canberra. We're originally from Canberra. To make that, and that was called Highway. And that short kind of, again, it was like another step up. And that film, I'm very excited that film has been picked up to be adapted into a feature film.
So good.
Yeah, which I'll be writing and directing with Goalpost, which is one of our great companies, Sydney-based company here, and another company in the US called Automatic. And yeah, that journey's been amazing. Basically that short film was seen by some people in LA, and through that my manager Matt signed me, and Matt was a real powerhouse, and he really helped to get that feature film happening. And so going to the US sort of, and then coming back was something that really helped me to push forward to the next step. And what else? I've also been working on a mini-series through this Screen Australia program called Smart for a Girl, which Imogen Banks at Endemol Shine and Alice Bell, who's one of our great writers, have.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's one of their big initiatives to get more women into
writing,
TV writing.
Into TV, because it's a very male-dominated.
Yeah.
And you see that when you see the award ceremonies.
Yeah, and in general, creatives in the film, TV, and commercial industries, there are a lot fewer female creatives than male. And so there's been a real push recently to try to balance that up a little bit more. So this initiative was amazing. I was selected. My project called Eared, which is a miniseries pilot concept, was taken on. They put a writer's room around it. They funded a first draft, and so that's been a really amazing opportunity for me to learn about the industry, and to be brought in such a significant way, not even as a note taker on the sidelines, but to be put in the middle of a writer's room with my idea, and to have these incredible
mentors,
minds. Sitting there in that room with me, workshopping the idea, fleshing it out, coming up with something that, was strong, so much stronger than the idea began. And, it's just been this amazing process of building that with Imogen and Alice, and having that mentorship. And I really feel better equipped now to move forward into television, which is such an exciting landscape.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you've had some really great successes, I think. I mean, amazing successes along the way. And I'm really proud of you as a friend. But do you ever, do you experience self-doubt? Does that ever come into because, it is sort of, sometimes you're producing this stuff and you're like, I don't know, is this a good story? Are people going to, because there's no, and particularly because the pathway in a creative field is not very linear. It's not okay, if I do this, then I'll get this, and then I'll stay in this job for 5 years, and then I'll get my promotion and I'll be my boss in 10 years and everybody's happy. It's very something happening over here or something happening over there, and so does that ever affect you? Does that ever affect your psyche?
Yeah, of course. I think self-doubt sort of follows or hangs over most creative people, I'd say, because you really, when you're putting a creative work out, you're really trying to engage in a conversation with your viewer or your watcher or your listener or reader, whoever. You're just trying to speak and say something, and you're really hoping that resonates, and that you're not just kind of shouting into a vacuum or a vortex, or even worse, that people actively hate it. So you're really always, unfortunately, it's one of those things where you're constantly judging yourself, and you're, the idea of success and failure is a bit strange, because
There's
of
such a
course,
relationship.
Yeah, and of course it's like all subjective, but you do tend to go, oh, you know, wow, you know, I got into this festival, I'm really happy, or I didn't, I got rejected from this festival.
Yeah.
And rejection is so much a part of what we both do.
Absolutely.
I mean,
it's like all of the time.
Yeah, you could speak to that as an actor. I mean, auditions.
Well, I mean, I guess, that is the audition process. And it's not personal. It's, you know, like, it could be they're looking for someone who has long hair or blonde hair or brown hair or big eyes. I mean, I've been told before that my eyes weren't big enough.
Really?
For an Oral-B ad. Anyway. Sorry, Oral-B. But so, you know, it's never, I guess you can't take it personally. And I think, I mean, I haven't been doing it for that long, but I think, like, the more you, I don't know, just get used to that, like, it's the people that persevere and have millions of failures. I mean, what's that? Michael Jordan says, like, 99% of the time when, like, he's had to shoot the winning shot, he's missed, and he's, like, the greatest basketballer ever. Yeah. And I think, yes, the relationship between success and failure is so interlinked, because it is, like, all of everything that you learn from failure, which is what gets you to success. And, like, so, I mean, just keep going.
Really? Yeah. I mean, because failure...
But it also makes you superhuman as well, and super, like, you know, like, able to be with vulnerability. And I think that that's, like, at the heart of art and stories, and, like, you know, is expressing, like, the human condition, which is so vulnerable, and that's what I sort of loved about getting out of the finance world, and like government and stuff like that. It's because it's that, to me, it kind of I guess I wasn't I wasn't able to express that, you know, those more human aspects of
which is part of you, and you learn so much about yourself in the process of, I guess, failing and being rejected and putting yourself out there. I mean, as an actor, I admire you as an actor, because as a director, you sit in this room and you hold these audition sessions, and a litany of actors come in, and you have to sort of make these choices about who's going to get the part, and you know, and they could be standing there giving a beautiful performance and you know, breaking their own heart, trying to access these emotions that, you know, they need to find that thing in the character. And it's such a generous act, I think, giving as an actor. And, you know, sometimes as a director, it can be like, wow, thank you, because...
Yeah, and that's really nice when directors do that, because it is sort of like, it's not easy.
Yeah. What's your favourite acting experience?
My favourite acting experience.
Or a highlight in your career so far as an actor?
I guess I played a really it was a really great role in a series that's on Foxtel at the moment, and Netflix, called Secret City, and it was kind of funny because the character is this girl who is a university student at ANU, which is where I went to uni, back in Canberra. So it was kind of funny going back to Canberra to play this character, which was she was kind of close to home in that respect. But she's this girl that goes over, she's strongly affiliated with the Free Tibet movement, and she goes over to Beijing after winning a music scholarship, and as a protest, I don't know if you've heard of like the self-immolation protesters in Tibet. She performs, well, she self-immolates, and then she's held up in a Chinese jail for the rest of the series, I guess. And that sort of sparks off the how the Australian political landscape is going to deal with trying to bring this girl home and their relations with America and China, and it sort of sparks this kind of interweb of tension between these countries. And I guess like why this role was like so cool for me is because she's such an interesting character. She's not just like someone's girlfriend or the girl next door, or she's like this multifaceted character that sets herself on fire, and then she's like blind and covered in burns, and well, I was just covered in prosthetics, which was kind of cool. So that was sort of, and a super challenging role as well, because she had to speak Mandarin, and yeah, like just the psyche of someone that would feel so passionate about something that they believe in, that they would do something like that. And so it's kind of like a really big thing to think about. And yeah,
I guess that's what's great about acting as well. You can step into someone like that and be her for a while and understand. There's an empathy thing going on there, right?
Where, yeah, totally.
Yeah, acting is so empathetic because you have to find that thing. You might be playing a murderer, and somehow you have to find
the motivation.
Yes, in
absolutely.
yourself. So it's a beautiful pursuit in that sense.
Yeah, it's a really great. And also, like, you don't have to sit down, but like behind a desk or anything. You're like up on your feet and moving around.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should talk about surviving.
Oh, as artists.
As artists.
Yeah, because that's a thing.
Yeah. How do you
survive? Well, it's difficult. Like it's not, because you do a lot of projects, and like independent theatre is like you do that for free, or, short films are usually for free. It's like you're constantly, like most people, they get a job and then they're going to be in that job and get like a solid, regular paycheck every week for, I guess they hope to be in that job for at least a year or two or more, or 10 or 20. Whereas an actor, you're kind of looking for a job. It's like you're looking for a job every day of your life. You're just like constantly, and people like looking for a job is like, oh, I have to look for a job.
Yeah, that's our life.
That's our life. Like we're constantly, and then also looking for jobs that don't really pay you any money. And I guess I've been lucky in the last few years in that, like I've landed a few commercials, which has been fantastic because there's a bit of money in that. But yeah, I guess that's part and parcel of the nature of the beast. And a lot of actors, even actors that work a lot, like there are dry periods,
Yeah.
Like sometimes you're just not relevant.
Yeah.
But yeah. How do you survive?
Well, it's not easy.
Yeah.
I think I've also kind of been lucky that ever since film school and even during film school, there has been support. There's been support through, first the film school. While I was there, that was kind of supported. And then I won a scholarship after film school as kind of an award. And so that kind of saw me through the next year, and then Screen Canberra, they've been great.
Yeah.
There've been sort of opportunities there to apply for funding for script development and things, so kind of that can pay your bills while you're writing and developing projects.
Yeah, totally.
And all of that has really paid off because, you know, the money that was invested then by them is now, it's that same script I was talking about before that got selected for the Smart for a Girl program. So, you know, but it's just been a series of grants and scrappy little sort of jobs to get by, like doing corporates or, you know. At the moment, I'm really trying to get into the commercial directing world now. I've sort of realised this year that that's a really viable path. You know, because, there's been this initiative, an Australian Directors Guild initiative that's really been backed by, you know, Gillian Armstrong. She's been one of the biggest advocates of it, getting more women into commercial directing because that's where the money is. To do our craft, to practice our craft, to work with the top cinematographers and production designers and producers, and to sustain ourselves that way rather than, you know, working as waitresses or just kind of scraping by on grants and things like that. So I'm kind of trying to build that now. That's my game plan. So I'm doing a kind of Australian, it's called an ADG commercial and content mentorship, and it's for women, female directors like me.
That's so amazing.
And they place us into really good commercial production companies around Australia. So I'm with a company called Scoundrel, and I'm there sort of in-house, shadowing their really experienced directors and also kind of trying to get some work there for myself as well.
And also seeing me on screen tests.
Sometimes you pop up.
Sometimes I pop up. Give me the job. Hire me.
If I could, I would.
Well, I guess that's like, similar for me. But like also, whatever jobs on the side that get you through.
You've done some great work. Your commercial work and your film work is beautiful, and I'm very excited for you because I think you're a very special actor, a very special human.
Thanks, friend.
Very good friend. And hopefully we can collaborate again.
Well, I mean, we were just discussing this morning about collaborating on a story.
And it's really nice when,
series.
I'm more and more, I'm loving this idea of working with just people you love. And there's no need to work with people who don't treat you well or intimidate you. You know, I think in this industry now I'm really finding my people, and I'm in a lucky situation now where I've found really great producers to work with. I've got just great teams of people who are like actually really love and can see myself moving forward into the future with. And I think that's something maybe when you're younger you don't realize.
Like finding your tribe. I think that's like such an important part of like collaborating, because I mean like every like story, I mean like every film, short film, feature, web series, TV, whatever, it's never just one person. It's like a huge group. Like if you watch the credits, there's like
there's an army of people.
There's an army of people that go in to produce this thing, and I think finding those people that you love.
That's what I love about this industry so much. It's because when I used to be a writer, just a writer when I was a kid, and that's beautiful because it's this rich inner life that you have, and you're creating something that's yours and something that's been summoned from nothing by your mind, which is wonderful. But as the older I got, the more I realized I really love people and I love human interaction, and writing can be quite a solitary pursuit, which is fine. And I'm also learning about myself that I love my long days writing, and when I don't get that long period by myself, I crave it. So I'm realizing that too. But it's so beautiful to be able to like take that thing that you've written and actualize it in such a human way with people and see it played out, but also have all these minds coming into it that enhance it and improve it and make it so much bigger than
it's like more like a visceral kind of
exactly, it's textured and it's real and it's human and it's got heart. And it's like it becomes like almost a super brain kind of scenario where you've just brought all these other minds into it, and most of the time more minds make a better product.
Absolutely. What do you think is at the heart, like do you think that there is a universal story? Like, what do you think? Story is so part of our lives. You like writing story, I like acting out story. And empathy is such a huge part of that. If there was like a universal like premise for every story, I don't know.
Well, it's a big question.
Because I think love is at the heart of
I was going to say love.
But even stories, I feel like even stories about power are about kind of like a lack of love.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is still about love.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think. Well, I look at where I always start from with my stories is an exploration of what it means to be human.
Yeah.
And I think love is at the heart of what it means to be human.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the moment, I'm really interested in AI and the idea of humanoid robots. And, looking at what differentiates if a robot can emulate a human being entirely and,
Can I emulate love?
Yeah. And what is love and what is consciousness and what does that mean and where does that come from?
Yeah.
The you-ness of you, and like a robot doesn't have that, and that's ultimately what fascinates me at the moment.
Yeah.
But it does come down it boils down to love, and I think if I were to put a big umbrella over what story is to me at least, then it's an exploration of what it means to be human, and at the heart of that, I think, is love.
Yeah, I feel that. Whenever I look into a character, it's always like, where is the love? Where is the love?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's been nice.
It's been nice chatting with you.
It's been nice.
Yeah. Okay, I have one more question for you.
Okay.
What have you got going on, like, in the next little bit? Like, anything, I don't know, a story in your mind that you want to actualize, or like, you've got so many projects on the go, so like, I don't know how you could fit anything else in, but I don't know. Well, what are you doing next week? What are you doing next week?
Next week, my short film Shiloh is premiering at the Melbourne International Film Festival.
So good.
On the 11th.
I'll be there.
You should come. You are coming. I'll go you a ticket.
And then you're +1.
Yes.
Great.
So that's happening. That's really exciting, and I'm also part of the Accelerator Talent Lab, which is kind of
great.
a part of MIF, and that'll be really great. 5-day sort of workshop thing, and a lot of parties, I think, too, but a lot of really interesting panel discussions and an opportunity to pitch. They get a lot of international guests coming, and so that'll be really good. So that's on the immediate horizon, and then I'm deep in research for Highway, my feature film.
Amazing.
And we're about to start drafting now that we've got the Screen Australia funding, which is great.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next steps of the miniseries pilot.
Great.
Which is great.
Id. Yes.
Yep, Id.
So good.
And my brain is always ticking over for more stories, and I've got a short film idea that I kind of, at the moment, I really want to tell.
Yeah, cool.
And Yeah, we've been talking.
We've been talking about
we just came up with an idea this morning.
With a story this morning.
So it never stops, and it shouldn't stop. I think no matter how many projects you've got going on, stories keep coming in, and you might hear something in the news, or you might just have a weird dream, or something. Sometimes just sparks, and you have to be able to like catch those stories and snatch them out of the air, and they can even just go in a notebook in your bottom drawer, and you might not look at them for years,
but they're there.
But they're there, and then one day you might pick it up, and that's definitely happened to me. You've always got this kind of list of ideas, and sometimes they just, one of them, it seems like the right time for one of them to rise up to the surface.
Yeah.
And what about you?
No. I'm currently sort of very deep into doing this master's course at VCA in film producing, so that's taking up quite a bit of time. I'm still like auditioning for whatever comes my way, so but yeah, I'm really excited to be able to produce my own work and to come up and develop my own stories, and of which just the other day I just felt like this story just came through me, which is great and fun.
And you have to be able to kind of recognize them when they're there.
And go, whoa, that's a good time.
Yeah. And what attracts you to producing?
I guess because I have like these two kind of, left brain, right brain sides of me, like the finance side, and then, the creative acting, narrative story side, and the producing role kind of encompasses these two things. And, and I have such a great network of actor friends and people that I want to work with and I want to facilitate things for. And so to be able, to have that skill and knowledge of how to do that, I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah. Well, you're very good. You're very good at that. I think that comes really naturally to you.
Oh, thank you.
I can really see you in that role.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, this has been a really great chat.
It has been a great chat.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alice.
Thank you. Shall we shake hands? Friend.
Should we shake hands again in a sensible way?